does. I'm guessing my next guest might sign up. Neil deGrasse Tyson, director of the Hayden Planetarium at the American Museum of Natural History and host of the podcast and National Geographic Channel TV show StarTalk, which now has an accompanying book. If that's not enough, he's the co-author with fellow astrophysicists Michael Strauss and J. Richard Gott of a new book called Welcome to the Universe, an Astrophysical Tour. Welcome back to WNYC, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi. Thank you.
And welcome to the Green Space. So the first
This is where you are. This is where you hang out on Fridays at the Green Space.
Yeah, we just come out and hang out down here.
Chilling in the
Whoever
Green
walks
Space.
by, come on in. The first chapter of the book, StarTalk, is What Do I Pack for Mars? So are you all set to go?
No. Well, so whoever is designing the ships to go to Mars, I want them to send their mother first, right? And if that's safe enough for their closest family members, then I'll consider going. But yeah, if you're going to send me to space, give me a destination. None of this, driving around the block, boldly going where hundreds have gone before. This low Earth orbit stuff. I mean, it's 50 years old that we've been doing that, and it's time to go somewhere. And by the way, there's plenty of reasons to do so. It's not just for science. You can do it for tourism. You could do it for business reasons, even. And that may be the ultimate driver of it all, to turn a space program into a space industry.
Yeah, because it is something that people may not have their minds around in terms of the reasons to go for a destination that's far away. I mean, low orbit may not be sexy, but my understanding is there's a lot of science that can be done because you're out of the Earth's atmosphere that's very applicable to life on Earth. And there are some people who criticize spending a lot of money when there's still so much poverty on Earth and other problems on Earth to go gallivanting around even the solar system.
Yeah, I have heard less of that lately than in the old days. It used to be we can put a man on the moon, but we can't solve the poverty problem. Well, interesting fact today, we can't put a man on the moon. You can't even invoke that, actually. But I think people do see space a little differently now. Especially since we know that you find grandma's house with a GPS locating system on a smartphone that involves assets that many of them are ground-based, of course, but just the space. So your phone's access to that information is from towers, but the satellites are orbiting the Earth. So space as a frontier of discovery and of ways that life on Earth can improve. Just think about this. Suppose we're all in the cave, this 20,000 years ago, we're all in the cave, and someone is ill. And other people in the cave say, I want to go explore across the valley. Someone says, no, let's solve all our problems in the cave first before anyone leaves the cave. That today you'd look at that as a stupid decision because cures and food and water and all sources of ways to keep you alive exist outside of the cave. And so to say, no, we have these problems and we're going to solve them first, that's just short-sighted.
So, listeners, some of you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson introduces himself on StarTalk as your personal astrophysicist. So now's your chance to ask him some questions. Raise your hands if you're here in the green space, and we'll come around with microphones. Or listeners, call us 212-433-WNYC, 212-433-9692.
A quick point about the clip that you played of President Obama.
Yes.
I was at that speech. He gave it at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and it was what concerned me about it is when Kennedy said, let's put a man on the moon, return him safely to Earth before the decade is out, most of that time would have been under his watch had he not been shot and had he gotten a second term, which is not unrealistic in the day. So he was prepared to invest political and financial capital to that goal. But now we live in a time where President Obama can say, in 2030s we'll go to Mars, under a president to be named later on a budget line not yet established. And so I don't know what it means for a president to commit multiple elections in the future relative to what Kennedy did in the 60s.
Interesting. We have a clip from StarTalk to play. This is you with Whoopi Goldberg. And actually, before we do that, why don't you set this up a little bit? Because you describe StarTalk as being where science and pop culture collide. So you interview a mix of pop culture and science figures?
No, it's well, occasionally there's a science figure, but if I interview a scientist, it's because they're into something else that directly affects pop culture. And so the goal of StarTalk is not to bring you science as the focus. It is, we have celebrities hewn from pop culture, people you've heard of, even if you're not even necessarily a follower of theirs. So Whoopi Goldberg is a great example. And in that interview, I'd like to think I've provided a geek safe space for the celebrity to share with me secrets they might have about, have they memorized digits of pi and they can't tell their friends? Or do they have any secret fantasies about, is there some bit of curiosity within them that just needs to be fanned, some embers that we can ignite? And so with Whoopi Goldberg, we learn that she's totally into the superhero genre, and she shares her thoughts on this.
And in this clip, what she wants in a superhero. And I guess we'll get that Whoopi Goldberg clip in a minute. Let's try it again.
If it's the case that one day we can have compute...
Brian Greene, Monday.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
we have. Yeah, that's the second clip. Here we go. Here's Whoopi. I think.
That's the president.
I'm a woman of a certain age who's always grown up with Superman and Batman and Supergirl and all of the DC and Marvel universes. And there's nothing out there for us. For women of a certain age, I want to see, somebody who saves the earth who looks a little bit like me, whose behind is a little bit bigger, whose chest is on the floor. But when that is a superpowers kick in, ooh, she could slap a whole nation of people on the way to taking care of business. That's what I want.
I don't think. I don't think Donald Trump's reading that comic book.
No, I know, but so I don't know where else someone with the stature, the pop culture stature of Whoopi Goldberg would be able to share that kind of sentiment. And so, like I said, it's a safe space for that. But what we do is you come for the celebrity, but in fact, the whole conversation that unfolds is all about science. And it's a way to clad science onto the scaffold that is pop culture that we all bring to the table.
Superheroes and super colliders. Let's take a question from the audience. Yeah. Right over there. Hi.
Hi. Thank you.
Hello.
You're so generous with your time. I know at the AMNH you have so many events that you put so much of your heart into, and your time, and you're so busy. Where now with new technologies, where do you get your information? How do you keep up with what's happening all over the world now?
Okay, that's a great question. First, I have access to a cloning machine. So all the times you see me there, that's a holographic clone. So no, it's very hard. But so a couple of things. If I want to know something that hit today, I just look at my Twitter stream, and I have enough followers there that they say, "What do you think of this?" And have you seen this clip? Many a time, I've been introduced to a YouTube clip of some importance that may have had like 100 views on it. So I feel like this community of people who support what I do are also part of my eyes and ears, my sensory system out there. And that's for sort of come and go pop culture things. For more scientific discoveries, I have colleagues and their journals and things that would be more typical. And my wife, who reads the New York Times every day, she'll just send me links every time because I can't scan it and pick the stuff out, but she knows what I need and like. And my kids, they keep me plugged in to anything that anybody under 20 cares about, because that's a whole other thing going on there. So it's multiple sources, but thanks for that question.
All right, we have to take a break, and then we'll continue with Neil deGrasse Tyson here in the green space. And you may have been making a joke about having holographic clones, but we will play that Brian Greene clip, which actually comes frighteningly close to that as a potential reality. So stay with us, Brian Lehrer on WNYC with Neil deGrasse Tyson live in the green space. you live from the green space here on WNYC this morning. Quick reminder that we have 2 more Friday morning green space shows coming up before the election. The next one is 2 weeks from today, Friday, October 28th, when Mayor de Blasio will do the Ask the Mayor segment live from our stage, and MSNBC host Joy-Ann Reid will also be here to talk about the campaign. For tickets, go to thegreenspace.org, thegreenspace.org. See some of you down here 2 weeks from this morning. Neil deGrasse Tyson is still with us on the Green Space stage, director of the Hayden Planetarium at the American Museum of Natural History, and host of the podcast and National Geographic Channel TV show StarTalk, which now has an accompanying book. And if that's not enough, he's the co-author with fellow astrophysicists Michael Strauss and J. Richard Gott of the new book, Welcome to the Universe, an Astrophysical Tour. Let's see, we have some good geeky questions coming in on the phone.
Bring them on.
Let's see if I can do it. The technology is a little different down here in the green space, but let's see if I can get Eric from Hackensack on the line here. Eric, we have you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi there. And you're on with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Hey.
Yes, it's a great honor here. I have a science question. We know from Professor Hubble that the universe is expanding. The stars are moving away from each other at increasing speeds. We also know that anything that has mass will gain mass as it approaches the speed of light. So will there come a point in the future where these stars will gain so much mass that they'll be forced by the laws of physics to come back into a great big cosmic egg or something?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So in Einstein's relativity, the general theory and special relativity, there's an interesting distinction between something moving through the fabric of space and the fabric of space itself stretching. And so the Hubble expansion that we all know and love, that is the expanding universe discovered by Hubble back in 1929, we've only ever measured the universe to be expanding, and it is also likely accelerating in that expansion for a mysterious reason, by the way. So if you say, well, what reason is that? It's mysterious. but when it's the fabric of the universe expanding, you're not going to get this increased mass phenomenon that goes on when you are moving through the fabric of space. And for this reason, for example, the entire universe can expand faster than the speed of light. So there are none of the traditional restrictions that we get moving through space apply to the expansion of space itself.
And it may be expanding even more than we have previously realized. Knowing you were coming on today, a friend of mine emailed me this article from the Huffington Post just from yesterday. Headline, "The universe may hold 10 times more galaxies than we thought." And it says, for decades, astronomers had put the number at 100 billion to 200 billion, but new research using data from the Hubble Space Telescope and other observatories shows that number is about 10 times too low. I don't even know how to get my mind around the difference between 200 billion galaxies and 10 times that and the implications for us. But you know this?
Yeah, so actually, my master's thesis, I predicted there'd be 10 times as many galaxies out there in the universe. So I have to check on where they're going with that. I made a prediction, but what matters in the end are observations. It's fun that if there are more galaxies, more is better, I think. Galaxies are made of stars. Stars may have planets and people, or at least one of them has people. So what would be weirder is not if we found more galaxies than we thought, but if we found a different kind of thing out there. So don't be so concerned or have existential angst learning that there are more galaxies than you previously thought. In the universe, generally, we find more of what we thought was there rather than less.
Here's a good geeky question from a good geeky town. Linda in Princeton. You're on WNYC.
That's for sure a geeky town, yes.
Let's see if I can get Linda on the line, if I'm geeky enough to operate this phone box here. And producers, maybe you can help me with this. Get line 8 up. And what we can do in
It is work, because you're just banging keys on your laptop there.
That is what I'm doing.
That doesn't always just get one.
And when I'm in the studio upstairs, that actually works. But,
it's like the old days with rabbit ear TV. You slap the TV on the side. That's some leftover behavior from
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's like I go home and tell the family, well, the way I put callers on the air is that I just knock the keyboard a few times. And they say, that can't be true. And I say, come down to the green space and watch. So now that I'm in front of witnesses, of course it doesn't work. Here's another thing that may or may not work. It's one more clip from StarTalk, and this is of you and World Science Festival founder Brian Greene.
Physicist, yeah.
And hold on to your conceptual hats, folks, because this is about not knowing what reality we're in as virtual reality technology becomes really, really realistic.
If it's the case that one day we can have computers that can recreate a reality in bits and bytes that has such verisimilitude that they're inhabitants of those simulations that feel that it's real, if that's possible, and I think many of us agree that it might be.
Sure.
We're getting closer already. Just let's assume that's possible. It's so much easier to create a simulation than it is to create a real universe. I mean, how are you going to create a real universe? Right. So if you wait long enough, there are going to be many, many more simulated universes than there are real ones. So any sentient being, if they're rational, would think that the odds are that they're in one of those simulations because there's so many more of those compared to real ones.
Statistically, you're in the simulated one, not the real one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So get over it. No. It's consider if you can simulate a world with such precision. He used a bigger syllable word there, verisimilitude, but with such precision and accuracy that you create beings that have entire neurological function, bordering on free will. Then they will just think they're alive. And if they're alive and they have some kind of free will, and they're advanced enough, they might create a simulation within themselves, just to simulate their own universe. And then it'll be simulated universes all the way down. So if you throw a dart at all the universes that exist as a random choice, we could be simply in one of those. So we could be invented by some kid in his parents' basement, some alien kids. And this would completely give us why laws of physics are this way and not some other way. It's because some kid invented it. Think about it. If you play a game, like if you play Mario, Mario jumps and can go off the cliff but then scurry back. There are whole laws of physics that apply to the game. If I were in that game and curious, I would measure the laws of physics operating in that game. They'd be different from ours because somebody programmed it in. And if you jump off, you can scurry and not fall down and come back to a surface. That's that universe's laws of physics.
Would we all need goggles?
Yeah, it depends, yes. So, yeah, where anyone who's thought about that problem is pretty much in agreement with it. So, yeah, you can choose to not want it to be true. But, like I said, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you.
Now I think we have Linda in Princeton. Linda, you there?
Hello, Brian.
Hi there. You're on WNYC with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Brian and Professor Tyson. Brian, I'm glad, given your keyboard talents, that you're not operating a nuclear power plant.
You should be glad. You should definitely be glad. We'll leave that to the Homer Simpsons of the world.
By the way, I knew Professor Hubble's grandson, Tower, the late Tower Hubble here in Princeton, who was a fabulous person. Anyway, a mathematician friend of mine, Professor, said years ago, when we were talking about this time capsule that had apparently been sent somewhere with Beatles tunes and music and art and literature, that the one sure way of establishing whether there was, quote, intelligent life somewhere else in the universe, if not here, would be indicating the existence of the concept of prime numbers. And if another being recognized that, it would indicate that their intelligence had advanced, remarkably or sufficiently. Could you answer that? And I'll take my answer off the air.
Prime numbers, if I remember my high school math, being those that are only divisible by themselves and by 1. Is that correct?
Evenly divisible by themselves. All numbers are divisible by all numbers, but they have to be evenly divisible.
Yeah, to hold numbers.
With no remainder at the end, yes. Then you'd have a prime number. Right. I say that because in the movie Little Man Tate, there's a genius, elementary school kid. The teacher asks, is this number divisible? Which of these numbers is divisible by 3? And he said they all are. And
Right.
the teacher meant evenly divisible, but she didn't say it, and so the kid was beyond the teacher's thinking. Yes, so...
Because the kid invented the teacher. You just demonstrated.
Exactly. So probably the caller is thinking about the Voyager record, which was an affixed bit of information and actually a record player that contains sounds of our species. Ann Druyan was the creative director of that, who co-wrote both Cosmoses, the first and with Carl Sagan, and the one that I had the privilege of hosting a couple of years ago. And so she's a very creative person and thinks deeply about culture and civilization and our future. And so they thought a lot about what information you'd put on there, but it had to be encoded in a way so that an alien would have some chance of knowing what you're giving them. You can't write it in English. They're not going to speak English or French or Esperanto, right? Or is that what's what call it, Esperanto? Esperanto, thank you. So you have to be creative, and you have to ask, what language is universal? Truly universal, not just earth-wide. We so abuse the word universe on Earth. Miss Universe. No, she's Miss Earth, okay? Just get that straight, okay? Just please. All right.
She's misabused by the owner going backstage and walking through the dressing room.
So the universe, the language of the universe is mathematics, because it applies everywhere that we see, and the laws of physics that gird it. So if you want to communicate with aliens, you probably would want to do it in some mathematical way, and prime numbers would be evidence that they have not only figured out how to talk to the universe, because math is that language, but maybe we could find a way for us to talk with one another.
Well, guess what? We will have to leave it there for talking with one another for this time.
You left 15 minutes for us to talk about the whole universe?
This universe.
This.
We'll do a half hour next time, and we'll talk about a couple of others, too. Neil deGrasse Tyson, director of the Hayden Planetarium at the American Museum of Natural History, and host of the podcast and National Geographic Channel TV show StarTalk, which now has an accompanying book, and co-author with fellow astrophysicists Michael Strauss and J. Richard Gott of the new book, Welcome to the Universe, an Astrophysical Tour. And
Welcome to the Universe. You got to say it right.
You say it.
Yeah, welcome to the universe. Yeah, okay.
I'm not even going to try. And I'll just add that the episode of StarTalk featuring Brian Greene premieres this Monday, October 17th at 10 Central on National Geographic Channel. And for more information about the show, you can visit natgeotv.com, natgeotv.com. Dr. Tyson, thanks again.
Thanks for having me here again.
Brian Lehrer on WNYC. And coming up next, Alexander Petrie from the Washington Post, Ashley Nicole Black